All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday afternoon. It is the Earthmaster out here. December 18th, 2024 is the date, 12:29 p.m. California time here along the West Coast. Latest activity shows a 1.7 into the big island of Hawaii area. A little bit of swarming going on out there across the Kilauea volcano today and over the past few days, actually. Broader scale event taking place out here, it looks like, with a potential eruption about ready to occur up here, I believe, at the summit area. That's where most of the inflation has been located at in terms of the earthquake activity as well. But again, you never know. We could see elevated inflation up here and then maybe a magma displacement from there. But the latest information here put out this morning, they're doing daily updates now. So the Kilauea volcano currently is not erupting, but they are having a pretty decent earthquake swarming, upticks in seismic activity underneath the volcano's summit area, up around the lava lake area. So all this movement and increase in earthquake activity is a good suggestion here that there's an increasing amount of magma being stored underneath the summit area. So they will continue to do daily updates while things remain elevated up there across the Kilauea volcano. Definitely noticing a broad-scale elevated activity event taking place out here. Some shallow earthquakes as well around the Big Island. So we're just getting some movement, there across that hot spot. Of course, what goes on here across the Pacific here plays a major part in Hawaii. The Pacific Plate, as it moves off to the northwest here, is obviously creating new Hawaii islands there, slowly but surely. As the Pacific Plate moves over the hot spot, it will continue to do so in this fashion. Pacific Plate moving off to the northwest, that will put the Hawaii island chain further down in this direction right here. Unless we get some major altercation of the plate movement here, which it does occur. That's why we've seen this little diversion here throughout time of former Hawaii islands there, the former hot spot, eventually, eroded over time and whatnot. All right, let's go ahead and check out Northern California. Latest quake up here is a 2.0. They're actually showing a little 1.7 in there as well. The latest quake 2.0, about 14 miles deep here off the plate boundary. Earlier this morning, another 3.7 and a 3.3 coming into the same area. So we're looking at a return of elevated activity out here across this region of Northern California. And, of course, yesterday here, the tremor map, let me show you guys the tremor map here, continued to show about 29 epicenters of tremor down into the southern end of the Cascadia, leading up to elevated seismic activity up here across the area, the extreme southern end of the Cascadia, and that triple point boundary here between the three plates. But continue to watch it, folks. No big activity yet there across Northern California. The southern end of the Cascadia, but I still feel we're getting awfully close here any day. Throughout Nevada area, still seeing some movement out there across western Nevada and that area that had that 5.7 earthquake recently. Minimal earthquake activity across the bay, just a couple smaller quakes down here off the San Andreas Fault. For extreme southern California here, let's go ahead and remove microquakes, and that pretty much leaves us a blank map. Not a whole lot going on in terms of 2.5 and above. Just a couple earthquakes out there around the Los Angeles area and the typical zones in Southern Cal. So they've been kind of the quiet spot here over the last couple weeks or so. Northern California has been the hot spot area. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up there. Just a couple smaller microquakes there from yesterday. Out across the rest of the country, a little bit more, I should say less activity out here. Yesterday, we've seen a little bit more movement out in the oil fields. Today, only a handful. New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet out there for now. And one little lonesome earthquake from early this morning out around the Greenback, Tennessee area. This is one region I definitely want to get out and explore one of these days. I've never made it out here to this part of the country. And farthest east I've been in my life is roughly up here around Columbus, Ohio. But this area, it's got some beautiful wilderness up there. And one of these days, going to get up there and take a little road trip. All right, so let's take a look here at the last 24 hours. Largest magnitude here in the last 24 hours is still going to be that deep earthquake here that I mentioned last night into the Tonga Trench, that 5.6. Overnight, well, I should say after midnight here, the largest is going to be a 5.2 in the Vanuatu region. This is where they had that 7.3 earthquake here recently. Things have died off there dramatically. Occasional aftershocks there will take place. Always potential to see something, maybe some larger activity out here. We're still waiting on our 8-pointer somewhere around the globe. It's going to happen soon. And I say that because we should have seen an 8-pointer by now with the amount of time that has passed between the last one and today's date. I don't know if we could see one here in 2024. Got quite a few days left there in the month. So as far as any new major uptick goes, looks like some happenings going on up around the Iceland area. Getting some further adjustment here south along the plate boundary, 4.6, 3.1. So let's go see what's happening over there across the Iceland region. It's been a little while since we've checked. This was put out, this is old here, 11/20. See if we got anything major going on. Not really seeing anything of major elevated activity. Let me go over and check out the deformation charts here. Svartsengi area. Down around the Grindavik region. Of course, our most recent eruption here back in November, right? This is the inflation chart. Lost a lot of volume of magma. Now we're starting to go back up. It's been doing this over the past year. Just a rinse and repeat cycle. And of course, up along that area, you get these oceanic rift boundaries, continental divergent zones up here as well, leading to the volcanic activity. Things look a little bit more active up here today. We'll continue to watch that though, but it's going to take, I think, a little while before we see enough accumulation of magma to induce another eruption in the area. But who knows? Could really kick up here. We'll have to watch that. Things can really advance in a moment's time. 4.2, well off the coast there in Morocco, it looks like. See if USGS is reporting that. They are not. There's a little 4.2 off of the plate boundary, a little odd there. So moving across the Middle East, or the Mediterranean today, and just outside of Turkey. Handful of earthquakes here across the area of the Himalayas and surrounding regions. Let's see, far as any major hotspot activity goes today, well, yeah, aside from the typical crunch zone up here, looks like a little bit of elevated activity just south here of Taiwan with some 4s and 3s stirring up out there. USGS not, maybe they're reporting some activity here. Looks like it may be towards the Philippines, a little bit closer to the Philippines than Taiwan. Decent swarm of activity out there today. Another region of uptick, it looks like, including Northern California down here across the plate boundary. Middle America Trench off the coast of the Baja California area showing some elevated movement as well today. Southern California is right there in that, in between all this activity, and they've been quiet here recently. That wasn't the case here a couple months ago when we had elevated 4s and even that 5-pointer up here outside of Bakersfield. There was a lot going on. Things were definitely looking quite active. But in the last few weeks or so, it's been relatively quiet, with only a handful of earthquakes above 2.5, and the daily microquake activity. That's a given on any day out here in Southern Cal. So we'll continue to watch that. What's really been quiet is San Francisco up here. They've been lacking earthquake activity across the plate boundary here, the San Andreas Fault, even these fault systems leading inland, Hayward Fault, the Calaveras Fault, all showing just very minimal activity here recently. Eventually, those will adjust. Quick glance here at the space weather activity. A little bit of sea flare movement right now, peeking up into the C2.0 category. Really not a whole lot going on here on the sun right now, folks. I mean, I guess that's a good time here to not have the images that we're used to. The magnetogram image here that shows the complexity of the individual sunspots and the cores, the polarities. That's been offline since the 26th due to a flooding event down there at Stanford University. And, it's kind of hard to tell on these black and white images here in terms of any super complex sunspots out there. But the thing is, when they are complex, they normally create a little sizzle. And I say sizzle, meaning really spiky up and down type activity here on the graph that would let me know that things are about ready to pop in terms of any significant flares. But right now I'm not seeing it. Things are pretty quiet. No major roars in the forecast there for now. And that is interesting because it's been a little quiet here. Major asteroid approaches here. See if we got any doomsday objects heading this direction. At least nothing that they're telling us here. 50-foot size, house size asteroid coming in just over 500,000 miles there to the planet. Aside from that, everything's pretty safe out there distance-wise. Storm Prediction Center, just a general thunderstorm threat out there across the southeast there and portions of the south today. Nothing big. Just some thunderstorms out there to bring about some enjoyment if you like thunderstorms, which I do. California, we got our next storm knocking on the door, it looks like, this weekend. Going to bring some rain and some mountain snow. Another system behind that, looks like. And Christmas Eve and Christmas Day look to be a little wet out there across the West Coast. And, we just got a series of systems coming in out there across California to end the year. And that's okay with me. Far as temperature-wise, if you want to get a temperature look here at Christmas Day, we can go roughly, let's go about here. This is going to be the weather pattern here for next week. It's all subject to change, but this is what the weather models are showing for about midday on Christmas Day. Some rain entering into the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of snow around the Four Corners area and Utah. Pretty big system out here across the East Coast. Probably will impact the travel. Might have some travel delays out there. Far as temperature goes, let's see what we got here for temperature anomalies. Big high pressure up into Canada. You guys can have that. I don't want that high pressure anywhere near the West Coast since I'm here. I like the weather, so you guys are welcome to the warmth. Much above average temperatures up there, talking about probably around 30 degrees or higher in terms of departure from normal. So a lot of the mid area of the country here in the States as well. Look at the east. A lot of warmth. While California out here, we get some storm systems and some cooler than average temperatures. And that's, you know what? This is where I'm at right now. If I was up in Kansas or North Dakota, some beautiful country like that, I would be probably complaining about this heat here, hoping for some cooler weather. I know a lot of people love the coolness, and I do too. It's wintertime. It's supposed to be cold, right? Snow. A lot of people don't like it because they have to get out and drive in it, maybe work in it. But hey, it's wintertime. The seasons are supposed to follow, the normal patterns out here. But that's a little warmth out there. Eventually, that will probably change. A blast of cold air across California, and then, of course, that alters the rest of the country there. So there's definitely cooler weather coming. Just gotta have a little patience out there, I guess. Yeah, I'm wanting to talk about patience, right? Because when it gets dry out here, I start complaining. I love the rain. All right, that's it for now, folks. We'll continue to watch everything. Kind of at a stale point right now, but things can change in the blink of an eye. We're still getting elevated activity here across Northern California. We'll check out the trimmer map later tonight when it comes in, and we'll just continue to keep an eye on things out here. If you haven't, for the West Coast, California, Oregon, and Washington, download the MyShake Early Alert Earthquake Notification System app for your phone. It's free. Look it up on your app store, Samsung, iPhone. It's called MyShake, and you'll see it. It's an early alert notification. The last couple earthquakes out here, Northern California there, and also the one up in Nevada I felt when I was up in the cabin. It gave me a 20-second notification, a heads up, to expect some shaking, and that's decent. That's really gives you a good time to maybe get up, move out of the house. Of course, if you're local, right underneath or over the epicenter of the earthquake activity, it's going to be less than 20 seconds, but it can at least give you a little bit of time to maybe not be startled as much. It's the MyShake app. All right, folks, I'm out of here. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening for the Wednesday night update.